Hey bro, you ready to hit the gym today?
No, I'm not going today, bro. It's my rest day.
Bro, stop being lazy. Like, you're lazy.
Bro, I told you, I'm resting. Like, don't they say, like, you make most of your gains, like, when you're resting? Like, that's what I'm doing, bro. I'm eating, recovering, and resting.
Bro, but I thought we was team no days off. You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be hitting the gym every day.
Yeah, that whole no days off thing, like, isn't that, like, unhealthy or some shit? Like, what about my mental health, bro? This right here is recovering and helping my mental health.
Dog, you ain't been in the gym in like 6 days, bro. Like,
why you had to call me out like that, though? Like, listen, I've been resting for 6 days because I'm trying to get 6 days worth of recovery because my last training session was so hard that I need 6 days.
You know, I just don't understand. Are you eating uncooked rice?
Carbs, bro. Carbs.
You're a lost cause. I'm going to the gym. What's up, all my devil dogs? It's your boy Sean Otley, Shimcor's 5-star general. Welcome to another video. Before we get started today, I apologize I haven't had a video the last couple of days. I had a lot of moving going on. Came back to Tallahassee, and yeah, there was no AC in the apartment, so yeah, that kind of put a wrench in things. Had to get an emergency Airbnb. It's all in my vlog that I'm gonna post this weekend, but it was a lot, okay? So I apologize, but we back on it with the videos. I'm starting to sound like another YouTuber I know. Anyways, besides that point, let's get into the topic of today's video, which is laziness. How is that affecting your gains, right? So as you saw from the little skit I posted to start my video, a lot of people are pretty lazy. We're pretty lazy as a human race. We've actually had this kind of built into us both physiologically and culturally. I think it's something like research has shown, like I think like 30% of like your laziness factor is like biological and the other 70% is like cultural. So pretty much like most of our laziness is learned. It's learned behavior just based off of how you grew up. You know, you might have grown up with someone who, you know, or parents who, you know, pretty much, you know, instill in you hard work. You know, you might have had to, you know, do a lot more than some other people who maybe had it a bit easier growing up, and thus, you know, you weren't as lazy as maybe they would have tended to be because they just didn't have as many responsibilities. Now let's translate that over into lifting. In general, people tend to overshoot how much activity they actually do. You might think, oh man, yeah, I work out like 2 hours a day, but for real, like you really don't work out as much as you think. Here's a really good example, right? This happens with a lot of powerlifters, right? So you think, oh, I'm in the gym for 3 hours, right? How many of those minutes during those 3 hours are you resting? How many 5-minute rest periods have you taken? How many 10-minute rest periods have you taken? So if you're in the gym 3 hours, but 2 of those hours are rest, you're gonna tell people you worked out for 3 hours when really you did about an hour's worth of work, if that. If you're doing like a heavy single, you're talking about a few seconds under the bar and then just a bunch of rest time in between. So you see what I'm saying? There's definitely a bit of a skew when it comes to that type of information. So how is this affecting your gains? Well, there's been a few studies that have been done that kind of show pretty much that we do better when there's more expected of us. A really good study was one that showed that it was 2 groups, right? 2 groups, I think they were like very early trained, like a year or 2 years like of training experience. And basically what the study showed was that there was actually a personal trainer who was there, not supervising everyone, but pretty much they offered encouragement and you know, support to one of the groups, and you know, they would be the ones to actually tell them, you know, add more weight, you can do a little bit more, as opposed to there was another group that was unsupervised that they could themselves ask the trainer, you know, to maybe spot them or ask them about form or whatever, but the trainer would not go out of their way to help that group, but he would go out of his way to help the other group. And if you're following the course of this video, you can only assume what the results showed. The group that the trainer was actually going out of his way to supervise and motivate and push did better. And that's just because we as humans, we tend to not work as hard as we can when there's outside factors. So what have I done for you? I've got 5 tips for you guys that basically will help you to overcome some of this laziness, okay? So let's start with number 1. Number one is you can hire a coach or a personal trainer, right? Like myself, you know, if you want to hit your boy up for coaching, shameless plug, go ahead and, you know, click the little link right here. It'll take you to my website and I'll be more than happy to help you out. But besides the shameless plug, what a trainer or a online coach or any type of coach will help you do is to keep you accountable. You'd be very surprised at how much more effort people put in when someone's there holding them accountable of their actions, you know? No one's gonna push you like a trainer or a coach will. Like, nobody's gonna push you like that. You know, you yourself in the gym, you can maybe say, you know, maybe I've got 5 extra pounds, as opposed to if you're in person with a trainer or you're online with a coach reviewing your footage, which if your coach isn't reviewing any type of footage, you're not getting coached. Like, that's just facts. But besides that point, they might be like, you know what, you're saying that's an RP 6 or 7. Like, I definitely think it was more of a 6. You definitely had a little bit more in you. I want you to try and push yourself a little harder next training session. Whereas if you weren't getting that guidance, you may just say, you know, it may have been a 7. I think that's cool. And you don't really give yourself that extra push. So having somebody there to kind of guide you, but push you when you need to, can definitely help you. So hiring a coach is definitely the first tip that I would give. Tip number 2 is to either get a training partner or get a crew of people to train with. And what this is gonna do is basically give you kind of the same motivation that a trainer would, but it's just somebody that maybe you can kind of compete with a little bit. So for instance, I actually used to train with my boy Nate all the time. Back in the day when I was just doing mostly hypertrophy, physique type of work, it was me and my boy Nate. We literally were there encouraging each other. And actually, just the other day, I watched an old video I made about the benefits of a training partner. I'm gonna go ahead and link that video for you guys too. But having somebody there to push you is just as beneficial as having that trainer there to say, hey, no, add 5 more pounds, you know, because you're seeing them push themselves, and that in turn makes you want to push yourself, especially if you're someone like me who's competitive. So I think that can work in a one-on-one setting where you just have a training partner. Also think it could work in a crew setting. You know, I go to a gym now that is more powerlifting centric. Like, everybody there is kind of training, everybody kind of competes, and so you're in that environment where, you know, everybody's trying to get better and everyone's pushing themselves, and you don't want to be the person that's in there kind of lollygagging and not really putting forth 100% effort. So definitely your environment and the people that you train around can have a huge effect on that laziness factor. So either having a training partner or a crew to train with, or just a great overall gym environment, can help you out as far as that laziness goes. All right, guys, so the third tip that I'm gonna give you guys is to record or log your workouts. And why this is so important, especially when it comes to, you know, when you're self-regulating, when you're kind of keeping yourself accountable, is when you see your numbers and you see, let's say for instance, you write the same thing, you did the same weight for the same reps repeatedly over and over and over again, you know that I'm not getting any better. I'm literally looking at this month and last month and they look identical. I need to push myself. Or if you're like me and you record, like video record your training sessions, then you can see, okay, even if it's the same weight, it's moving a lot easier now. Like, I can get this for 5 and it looks like I have like 5 more in the tank, as opposed to when I used to do this for 5 was all I had in me, you know? So definitely keeping some type of log where you can see your progress over time not only keeps you accountable, but it also kind of motivates you because you see that you're getting better. Like, you can physically see, hey, I was lifting this weight and it was hard, and now I lift it and it's easy. And that can be motivating in itself and want to make you push yourself a little bit harder to continue to reach new goals and higher heights, if that makes any sense to you. So I think definitely recording and keeping track of your workouts can definitely help out with that laziness factor as well. The fourth tip is to challenge yourself every now and then. Now, this is gonna be kind of controversial, especially if you're someone like me who likes to stick to your programming like it's law. Like, for me, if I have something written and it's RP6, I'm gonna try my hardest not to overshoot, and if I do, it won't be more than by, like, it might be a RP7 instead of 6. But sometimes you need to push yourself in order to see how far can I actually go? How hard can I really push myself? Because I'll tell you this, there's definitely been times where I thought, this weight might be a little hard for me, but I've gone ahead and done it, and I just have to get in a different zone, you know? Had I been just kind of lackadaisical with it, and I kind of just got under the bar and, you know, just went through the motions pretty much, it would have been a lot harder than if I go into it with an intent of, I have to do this, I have to murder this so I can get better. then it usually makes the weight a lot easier. You know what I mean? If you aggressively get under a bar for a squat and you unrack it and you're just ready to go, that bar is gonna feel a lot lighter than if you're just like, oh, I don't really wanna do this, it's kind of hard. If you have that laziness in you, you know what I'm saying? You can be lazy all you want, but it's just gonna make the work harder. So you might as well go in there with the mindset of, I'm gonna kill this, because it's gonna make it that much easier for you, and then you're gonna progress. You're gonna feel a lot better. So I definitely think that challenging yourself every now and then, you know, even if it's going off program, I don't recommend this all the time. I'm not saying to try and PR every week, but if you feel really good one day, I don't think there's anything wrong every now and then saying, you know what, what's my PR, man? I'm gonna just go for it today. You know, especially if it's on something like bench that you can recover easily from. I've definitely done, when I did my 403 pound bench press a couple months back, or a month back, however long it was, like, I was not programmed to do that. I just was feeling it that day, and I was like, you know what, while I've got it in me, I need to do this. And you know what that made me do? When I reached that 403 bench press, it made me realize that the 400 pound bench press that I had in my mind as a goal for my meet wasn't good enough. And because of that, it made me aim higher. I said, okay, well, I wanna try and hit a 415 or 420 at my meet instead of 400, because I thought 400 was this big number, it was gonna be super hard, and it moves pretty easy, guys. So every now and then challenging yourself, even if it's off program a little bit, can kind of help you with that laziness factor, because now you're seeing, nah, I actually have more in me than I thought, so I need to push myself a little bit harder. The last and final tip, number 5, right, is make training a habit. So whenever you have training as something that's kind of just in your schedule, as something that you may or may not do, or it's like the first thing that gets tossed to the side, where if any emergency comes up, the first thing you do is say, oh, I'm just not gonna work out today, then it's not a habit for you, because a habit is something that you do regardless of anything else. When you wake up, right, you have a habit of eating breakfast. Most people, I mean, unless you skip breakfast, you have a habit of eating every day, right? You have to eat in order so you're not hungry, so you can, you know, fuel yourself for the gym or for the day coming or whatever, right? It's a habit. You brush your teeth, you take a shower. Hopefully we're not walking around with bad breaths and BO. Let's try to do that, all right? Just making it a habit by itself and getting in there and doing the work. Even if you're in there and you're not maybe pushing yourself that extra 5 pounds, getting there is the first step. If you're not even there, then you're not even close to, you know, reaching your goals. But at least once you're in the habit of going, then you can work on, okay, now that I'm here, let me push myself a little bit harder. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap up today's video. Hopefully you guys learned a little something about, you know, being lazy and, you know, how it can affect your gains and how you can overcome that. I just gave you 5 different options, all pretty in-depth details as to how you can incorporate those into your life, so that way you can continue to make gains, and, you know, you won't be just sitting in the gym 2 years from now lifting the exact same weight, the exact same reps, looking the exact same way you did 2 years ago, like 90% of the people in most gyms look. All right, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe, leave a thumbs up down below, really helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to click that bell next to the subscription button so you get notifications for all new videos. And of course, don't forget the orders, subscribe and share, like and comment, follow all my social media. So next time, all my devil dogs, dismiss.
What's a goon to a goblin? Rap God, so what's a god without a goddess? Fuck being modest, I'm sick of being humble. A nigga like me, see I came from the jungle.